Hello, readers. Welcome to 20 Questions with Your Favorite Author, where we ask authors important questions like, why would you agree to be on this podcast? I'm Kelly Lynn Colby, Editorial Director at Cursed Dragon Ship Publishing. Our guest this week is Anne Rose, literary agent who also writes YA under the name A.M. Rose. Anne has been fascinated with storytelling from a young age. She loves an unlikable character, even though she is incredibly likable herself. If she's not your favorite writer now, she will be after. Why, good evening, Anne, my friend. How are you?
Hello, I am good. I love the intro. I got to see this before, but I wasn't live with you before. And I forgot to tell you how much I enjoy the new musical introduction.
Thank you. We're like all professional and stuff.
Like all that and stuff. It's amazing.
Well, wait till I start asking you questions. You'll realize how unprofessional we're not. But, you know.
I think I already know what I'm getting into, so.
We maybe have known each other for a few years, maybe.
Just a couple.
Yeah. Sometimes I stress about what questions I'm going to ask and how I'm going to do this down. With you, I had to be like, all right, what am I not going to ask her?
Where's borderline inappropriate start exactly?
Exactly. What was only between us that I need to keep secret? Let's see.
Can't tell my secrets. Shh.
Nope. It's all good. So, first question. Where do you get your ideas?
Where don't I get my ideas? I think is a better question, because I think I have so many ideas, it's ridiculous. And even my agent would say, that's a great idea, but what's the plot? I'm like, you know what? Stop with all of your nonsense plot talk, okay? Do you like the idea or not? So I have plenty of ideas. I get them from everywhere, anywhere. My cat will give me ideas. Seriously, so many. I have more ideas than I know what I could ever do with. I actually give ideas away at this point in my life because I just have too many of them. I will never write all these books.
So is that why you became a literary agent, so you could find more authors to write more ideas for you?
Yeah. No, they don't write my ideas. No, they write their story.
If only that were the case.
Only one day I will hire someone to write all the stories I want.
After we win the lottery, because ghostwriting is not cheap.
No.
No. So why did you start writing?
That's a great question. So I initially started writing because of my niece. And I think I've told this story on different blogs and stuff. So I apologize if someone's heard it before, but really it was her. She had called me on the phone. I remember I was out shopping at the mall. This is when we could shop at the mall, right? Obviously years ago. And she calls me and I'm shopping and she's like, Auntie, and she's just bawling. She's bawling on the phone with me because she read this book and she was very upset that a character dies in it. And so I was like, girl, you know what? I'm just going to write you a book. And so I did. And I guess that's kind of how it started. And then that book got published, actually. So it's kind of cool. So her book is out there.
How ironic that the end of Road to Eugenica made my daughter cry. So that's kind of funny.
That's amazing. I mean, I'm so sad.
Was that the circle you were going for? Because it totally worked.
That's amazing. Well, I still have I have another book coming out from that series. I just have to finish some things up and we'll make that happen. And yes. I think she'll be very pleasantly pleased with that. So,
well, she'll let you know.
I hope so. Mm-hmm. I hope so.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. You wear two hats in this industry, as many of us do. So why did you choose, of all the second hats to wear, because you're a writer first, right?
Yes. Sorry. I'm not nodding because I figure I don't want to interrupt your train of thought here. But yes.
Wait. Hold on. How long have we been friends? If you don't interrupt me, you won't get a word in. You know this.
That's fair.
But so my question is, why did you choose to become an agent?
That's a great question, too. I'm just going to always say that, I think. So the reason I started interning when I was writing my novel because I figured if I wanted to be serious about writing a novel and publishing it and getting it published, I should know exactly what it was that agents wanted, because that was the first step, right? Like you get an agent before you go to a publishing house, because that's the way it goes.
Right.
So I started interning with an agency and just kind of learning all about like the ins and outs, and you get to work with authors, and I think that's really cool. And we get to shape up books and make them like as best as we can. So in a way, I'm also an editor in a lot of ways. So I kind of get to do that too. So it kind of gives me the ability to do a little bit of everything. And then there is like so much joy in finding like the right the right editor and author match. Like it's so cool when you like see them connecting. So it's also like giving your babies away in a little bit of a way, but you just share them with the world. So it's really awesome.
That's pretty cool. That's a good reason. So as an agent, what is on your wish list?
Oh, geez. So many things are on my wish list. I have a long list of wish list items that is available on manuscriptwishlist.com. I think that's the official thing for it. There is a link to it. I don't know, somewhere. I Google internet search will probably find it for you. But like top of my wish list, I'm still would really love a YA book about two girls who are both running for class president, but then they fall in love. So that's really high on my wish list. I think that
would be fun.
Right? It would be such a fun story. Two strong females, like both like this enemies to lovers thing. I just think that's amazing. But aside from that, I really would love more strong friendship stories. I really want stories that show women, helping women and supporting each other. I really want stories that I would love more LGBT plus stories in my inbox. Please send me more of those. I want stories to tell me things that I don't know. So I want so many things. So many things. Send me
That's my favorite part about reading, so it makes sense to me. Let me experience things I'm never going to. I want to know.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Jess has a question for you. She wants to know, how does being an author help you with agenting, and how does agenting help you with being an author?
Perfect. Well, being an author first helps me understand like what author, it kind of helps me understand like being an author, right? Like, so I understand the process that it takes to get an agent. I understand like the ins and outs and the trials and tribulations of querying, because I've done it myself. I understand the rejection behind it. I think at a lot of times it helps too when we get editor notes from editors, that I can understand like what they're trying to say and how to help implement them in case the author doesn't. So it allows me to have that kind of be able to bridge that gap a little bit better. And then also on the flip side, how does an agent help me be an author? It kind of helps me kind of see where the industry is going in advance, so I can kind of gear my projects kind of around like where I think I want to be. And I could, but I guess I don't really do that. So I just write what I want to write. So I mean, I guess technically it could help me, but I prefer to be stubborn, and I prefer just to write what I want to write. So
that makes sense to me. Every time I try to write to market, it just doesn't work out for me.
Nah.
Every now and again for an anthology call out, the theme really inspires me, but that's a short story. When it comes to like a whole book, a little different.
Exactly.
I feel you. Let's see if I can get your name right. Anne Daly LeVue. Do you know who that is? I might be saying it wrong. She'll have to, or he will have to correct me. But how do you feel about authors who have self-published books? Should we mention it in the query if it's different from the one we're pitching?
I think that it's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with being a self-published author first. I think as long as the book that you are pitching is not the book that you have already published, I think it's fine. I don't think there's any reason to hide it. I don't think there's nothing bad about self-publishing. Self-publishing is a legitimate way to get your work out there. So feel free to add it into the query and, let me know about it. I'll probably look it up. So who knows, you might get a sale.
Never know. If nothing else, That's awesome. Let's see. Kevin has a question. Do you feel that you want to pair authors with traditional publishers more or less than indie publishers? Or do you have a particular preference?
Well, I think a lot of authors authors want me to pair them with big publishers. I'm the key to the doorway to getting into a lot of those different places. So authors aren't really in a position where they can send submissions straight to the big now four, right? So I can help open those doors to those things. So I think that that's always the goal first, is to try to get into those big houses, because I think that's the author's goal. But it's definitely something that I will talk about with my authors first, and when we formulate a strategy of submissions. So I do submit to big houses, medium houses, small houses, across the gamut. So it's all part of the plan.
Yeah, it makes sense, because most of the really small publishing houses like ours, you can send it directly to us.
Right.
But if you want to send it to, Penguin Random House, then you have to have an agent. So that makes perfect sense. And it's Anne Daleview. So awesome. Thank you, Anne. That was a great question. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I forget what I was going to say. Oh, I was going to say that does remind me, because a lot of the big houses did come out recently with like these open calls too, to allow BIPOC authors to submit and those types of stories, which is great. But also, if you don't have an agent either and you get an offer, it's really hard to negotiate that contract, because Big Five publishing contracts, or Big Four, I'm sorry, I keep saying Big Five, Big Four publishing contracts they're tough.
They're thick.
Yeah, they're good contracts. Like, publishers are in the business to negotiate for their best interest, not for your best interest. And that's really the bottom line. And that's where the agent comes in, so we can help negotiate for the author's best interest.
Makes sense to me. Yeah, those contracts can be crazy. So let's see. Dave has a question. He wants to know, so we talked about what you want to see. Is there anything that you're seeing too much of? Too many tropes, too many genres? Is there anything that you're seeing too much of right now?
So, well, I have my pet peeve, which I'll talk about in a second, but I won't start there. What I will start with is that...
I had one, by the way, Anne. It was my first. I was like, oh!
Okay, well, we'll talk about that in a second. But I will say I've seen a lot of werewolf stories lately. I don't know why, but lots of wolf stories. It's just one of those things, I guess, that maybe everyone got the same spark of inspiration from. I have no idea, but lots of wolf stories lately. So that's been a trend that I've seen. Not that I don't necessarily lean one way or the other when it comes to wolf stories. If it's a cool wolf story, then I'll ask for it. If it's not a very interesting wolf story, then I won't. But, that is one trend that I've noticed, is wolf stories. Things that I don't want to see are misogynistic stories, sexist stories, homophobic stories, racist stories. Like, I don't want any of that. So don't send that stuff to me. And I definitely do not want stories where it starts with the character waking up. I don't want it.
I got it on my bingo card now. Finally. I'm like, look, there's one of the no stories.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things. Like, I see it so often that it just does not spark any joy for me when I see that as the opening. It's too common. It usually can also say that there's pacing issues down the line, because that's where they're starting, because it's not really the start of the story. So there's a couple of reasons why I don't particularly enjoy it, but yeah, it's just not my favorite. Not my favorite.
Oh, you would have loved this one though, Anne, because it started with the prologue that started with the character waking up, and then chapter 1, character waking up again. I was like, oh.
Double, it was a whammy on that one. It was a double whammy.
I thought it was funny.
Triple whammy because of the prologue.
Wasn't them waking up from a dream that was actually the dream, and then chapter 1 was them waking up for real?
Oh, that would have been cool, but no, they were both real. Otherwise, that would have been like a whole nother level of submission. Bingo.
Fair.
That's incredible. All right, quick. I want to know, what have you read or watched lately that you've really enjoyed?
What have I read or watched lately that I really enjoyed? I don't know. Oh my gosh, I read this book called The Collector that I thought was really fun recently.
Oh, such a clever answer. Your money will be in the mail.
If anyone doesn't know, that's Kelly's book that she wrote, and I thought it was so fun. Lots of good girlfriend moments in there, which are totally my jam. So I really, 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 really like that. I've been watching again because I've already watched it once. It's called Call the Midwives, and it's on Netflix.
Yes.
But it's like a period about women who are midwives in like the early, like 50s, 60s, in
right after World War II. Yeah.
Right, in somewhere in outside of London, and I just find it so fascinating. And it's women supporting women, which I love, and they also delve into some issues that we still are dealing with today in women's rights that I think is really fascinating, the way they kind of like put it in there but still make it period. So yeah, I'm watching that again because I really enjoy that.
That's
and
awesome.
Bridgerton was awesome. I watched that lately.
It's totally not my jam, but I couldn't stop watching it. It was really good.
I, of course, figured out who Miss Mystery, I forget what her name is. I totally knew who it was by like probably the second or third episode. Like I was like, oh, I know who this is. But
good for you. I had no idea. Not until the last scene.
I still loved it. And Eloise is my favorite.
Yes. Oh, of course she is. That totally makes sense. Yeah.
Like, awesome. Who else would be my favorite?
Yeah, Kevin wants to know if you left a review for Collector. She did, Kevin, because she gets it, because she's a writer.
I did.
Yeah, Lady Whistledown. That's the name. Good job, Jess.
Lady Whistledown. Thank you. I couldn't think of it. I was like, Lady Whispers? I couldn't remember.
It was funny because I've edited a few of those romances, but I wasn't familiar with them. It wasn't something I normally read. So I didn't know all the tropes. I had to look them up. And then watching them, I'm like, there's one. And look, there it is again. Oh, yep, that's one. It was like, it covered like all of the rules. I just loved it. I loved it.
I do love history. Like I love reading. I realize that more and more, like watching these shows and stuff, that I do love those periods that when we, like historical fiction. I love historical fiction, but I also love it when there is, a feminist spin on it. Like that's my favorite thing. Like seeing how women were maybe overlooked in history, or how just they, were responsible for something that we didn't give them credit for. So those are really, or just times when that we don't explore very often, and definitely from perspectives that we don't get to see. So those are the kind of historicals that I really, really love. That's
awesome. See, you were scared of the questions and you did great. So here you go. I have one. If you could spend the weekend with one of your characters, who would it be and where would you go?
Ooh. Okay. Well, do I have to pick it from a book that is already published, or can I do it from No? Okay. So I would totally pick Charlie.
But now I know who Charlie is, but you have to tell the audience who Charlie is.
Right. So Charlie is a dead girl who is sassy and just probably one of the funnest characters I've ever written. And that book right now is out on submission. So I'm really excited about that. And hopefully we'll find it a good home, because it's just a lovely story. It's kind of like a YA, The Good Place, a little bit. I was actually really mad when Julie and the Phantoms came out, because I came up with Ghost Bumps. That was mine way before that TV show came out.
Remember, collective conscience. I mean, there's been Spidey since forever. So collective conscience. Yeah, Charlie is awesome. She would be fun. I mean, if you ask my daughter, she would say Dylan.
Actually, I think he'd probably be my second pick.
I have to admit, I kind of had a crush on Dylan too. Yeah. So that brings us to your novels, Road to Eugenica and Breakout, and they're both YA. Why do you love that genre?
I think I love YA because it's a time when anything is possible, right? So anything is possible still. The world is your oyster. You have so many places you can go, things you can do, things to learn. There's just so much going on that you're still kind of, and also still learning about the world, right? So I think it's just my favorite. my favorite age group, just because there's just so much that you're learning and growing and all of those wonderful things. And obviously it has to end in hope, because if we don't end our stories, especially our kidlit stories, if we don't end them in hope, what are we telling kids? That, oh, well, all is lost, sucks to suck, let's give up now, right? So YA has to have hope in the end. And I think that's why I love it too. Why I like romance, right? Because it's like you always know there's a happily ever after. In a good YA book, you always know that it's gonna end like on this high note. There's gonna be hope in some ways,
some form. Yep, I love it. That's a great reason. Let's see, you and I are about the same age. Let's say not close to Generation Z, yet you managed to keep up with the young people lingo. Like, how do you do that?
Do I don't know. I have now 2 teenagers in my house. So both of my children are teens now. One of them is about to turn 15 tomorrow. So they do help out with a lot of those things. Some of the things they say, I'm like, what are you even saying? I have no idea. And then I am still very close with my niece, who's now 21. What?
I cannot believe she's 21.
What? No, I can't even wrap my head around that. So she is an adult who can legally go to the bars now. And so she always helps me out too. I talk to her sometimes when she's not, too busy for me.
Right? You're not cool yet.
Well, I was cool, but now I'm not so much. I think I'll go be cool again. Okay, but she has to graduate college and find a job and then really realize that adulting sucks, and then she'll be like, oh, she's still the fun aunt. And I'd be like, yes, yeah, I am. I'm still the fun aunt.
Help me, aunt. This adulting sucks. And you're like, I know.
Exactly.
Let's see. We have a question from CC Harrier. CC wants to know, is it okay to resubmit a project to agents if the story has gone through an extensive developmental line edit? So both developmental and line edit.
I think that it's okay. For me, I can only answer for myself. Some agents would probably be like, no, if I passed on it once, I'll pass on it again. And I mean, we do get hundreds and hundreds of queries all the time. So I could see that. For myself, I can speak to, and that is, if a project has been reworked, then I don't mind looking at it again. I just would like you to just say it in your query letter, because a lot of times I'll be like, I've seen this before. Really, I don't know why. I just have this memory of ideas and concepts and stuff that come through my inbox. And so if I search and I find out that you did, I'll be like, well, why didn't you just tell me that why are you sending me the same thing? Right. So if you just make a mention of it, this has been, developmentally edited since the last time I sent this out, then I'll be like, all right, cool.
That makes sense to me. So, but yeah, like Ann said, it's good advice. Check on the agent. That's going to be different per agent. If I reject one, I don't want to see it again. But I give a lot of, if you get an R&R, right, then yes, please revise it and send it back to us. We asked you for that. But so just find out by the agent.
For the non-writery people, what's an R&R?
A revise and resubmit.
So, and I give those out a lot. I just sent one out this week. So that happens as well. But I also don't get, we talked about this earlier, I also don't get 300 submissions a day like Ann does. So if I got 300 a day, I'd be a lot quicker and send out a lot less R&Rs.
Probably.
Yeah.
I do also give out R&Rs, though, I will say. And I have signed 2, actually, authors so far on R&Rs. So they work. They do work.
Yep. So, Ann, you'll have to tell me, because here's my thing. I also want to know if I could work with the author. That's part of the deal. We're actually going to build a relationship. Like you said, finding the author-editor relationship. We're going to have a relationship. So part of that is also, I like this, but it needs work. I need to know if I can work with this author. If I can, let's go forward. If I can't, then we're just going to torture each of us. So it's probably better not to. What do you think about that, Ann?
Absolutely. I think it's very important. And especially for me, because I am not a one and done agent. I sign for a career. I don't sign for the project. So, and if project 1 doesn't sell, like we're going to be working on books together. We're going to be working on book 2 together. We're going to be working on book 3 together in some cases. So we're just going to keep working together until we, get those sales going. So it's really important to me that we kind of click and connect and are able to bounce ideas off each other and make things work. So super important.
Nice. Let's see. Anne wants to know, do you have stories that have main characters with mental disabilities? Is that something that's sellable?
Yeah, I think that it's definitely something that publishing is looking for, more stories from neurodiverse authors and stories about mental illness or mental health issues. I think that those are definitely stories that are still very much wanted and needed in the publishing landscape. I don't know if I would characterize some of the stories that I have like that. But I mean, no character is perfect, right? So we all have our issues in some respects. So, but definitely if you think we would be a good fit together, then for sure query me.
Perfect. Let's see. Kevin Petway, he's one of my authors, and he wants to know, if an author submitted to you who was also writing for a publisher who was a close personal friend of yours, would you tattle on them? Asking for a friend.
Yes. No.
No, you know what? Even if she does, I don't care. Remember, we've talked about this before. We believe in hybrid publishing. So if you go with Anne and Anne likes your work and thinks she can sell it, and then she can get you a big publisher, heck yeah, man. We all make more money that way. What's the problem here?
Yeah, it's all win-win in those case scenarios, right? So
right.
So I don't know if I would I don't know if I'd call it tattling. I would probably be like, oh my God, did you get to see this book that Kevin sent me?
You just better send her a good one, Kevin. I don't want to hear about it.
I have high expectations now. So, I mean, if you've been working with Kelly, then I have high expectations.
The man's hilarious. You would love his humor. Let's see. Well, you talked about that. What is the first thing you want to do when it's safe to do things again?
Ooh, oh my gosh. I don't know.
You must have a list.
So actually one of the first things I'm going to do, it's on our calendar, right?
Yep.
Like, I'm getting my second shot coming up this week, and Kelly and I are going to go get tacos.
Woohoo!
So that's it.
It's going to be an 8-hour lunch. I'm just warning everybody in my life now.
It's going to be amazing. So that's what I want to go get some tacos, but I have not really gone anywhere or been anywhere to do anything or seen anyone. So I'm really nervous about what's out there.
Yes. You'll be fine. I promise. Talking from the one who is now 2 weeks in. I have a lunch date tomorrow with a friend who's also 2 weeks in. So let's begin. Let's begin the again. So going to see people again. I like that. That's a good goal.
I want lots of hugs.
Yes, hugs. I'm still nervous about hugs though, even vaccinated. It's like something has changed in the brain now. So
we can do back-to-back hugs. I was watching Grey's Anatomy and they did a back-to-back thing, and I thought it was so powerful. I love Grey's Anatomy. I don't care. I've watched every single episode since like the beginning of time. So yes.
I don't know. If we see each other first before getting haircuts, our hair might all get tangled if we try to do back-to-back.
That is true. That's okay. They can just cut it out. It doesn't matter.
It'll totally work. We'll make it work. Let's see. What is a deal breaker in an author-agent relationship? Do you have a deal breaker?
I don't know. What is a deal breaker? I guess. I mean, I think that you should. I think that if there are problems in the author-agent relationship, I think you should be able to communicate it and have a conversation beforehand. I think that if you go and search for another agent before talking to your current agent about having problems with your agent-author relationship, I think that is a deal breaker. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. That sounds very fair to me.
It's like going out to find the next boyfriend before you break up with your first boyfriend. And I just, I don't know. I don't think that's very nice. And I'm really easy to talk to.
It's not very professional.
Yeah, and I mean, I make it very easy for my authors to talk to me and have conversations, and I make it very clear, especially like if you think there's a problem, if there's ever a time where you're like scared to come talk to me, then you need to come talk to me because that means we have a problem and we need to fix that. So,
Yep. No, that makes sense to me. But yeah, I mean, it's professional. And one thing to keep in mind is it's a very small world, this publishing thing. You would think it'd be bigger, but we tend to run into each other all over the place. So we talk a bit, maybe 8 hours with tacos next week. Could very well happen. It's been too long. Let's see. Which do you prefer, jeans or leggings?
I mean, what's the situation? Like right now, I'm wearing my leggings. So, and I haven't left my house for like a year. So I'm only in leggings. But I mean, I do wear jeans occasionally, I guess, when I go out. If I have like a lunch, I'll probably wear jeans when I go see Kelly because I'm going to have to dress up because I'll have to wear clothes.
Actual shoes,
Yeah. So I like both, but I like flare jeans. Not boot cut, not skinny, flare.
I don't know. You've been exercising so much over the past year. I'm not sure if you have any jeans that fit anymore.
I do. I have jeans that fit.
Okay. All right.
I promise.
All right. I'm going to see. We're going to test this out. I want to see. Let's see. Yeah, Zafo says pants are the enemy. I'm afraid I'm with him on this one. Let's see.
I did just get, speaking of pants, because, this is so important.
It isn't. That's what this podcast is about, the important things.
I got these pair of joggers. They're from Zaya. I don't know if anyone has heard of Zaya, but I was so skeptical of these joggers. I was like, I don't know. These joggers are expensive. Like, I don't know if I want to spend that much on like a pair of pants. And they are the best thing ever. Like every day I'm like, what should I wear today? Oh, I should wear my joggers. So I have one pair and I'm like washing them all the time because I like want to wear them all the time. They're so comfortable. They are the best pants ever.
That's fantastic.
And if you need a Zaya rep, then one of my clients is one. So
ooh, we can make it all happen.
We can make it happen for you.
Yeah, I think I got a top because I need a top for my current jogging career. I mean, I want to call it running, but it's definitely not running.
Girl, I cannot run. But go ahead. You have questions. Go.
This is the fun part. Oh, sorry. Is there an audience? I forgot. There are people here. Let's see. Dave wants to know, do you help your clients decide what project to do next?
Yes, we do. We talk about it ahead of time. So a lot of times my clients will come to me with like a list of ideas, and it's just like me that I was talking about at the beginning of this conversation, which is they'll come with a list of ideas and I'll be like, these are great, but what is the plot? So I become that person that I hate.
Your agent is listening to this right now going, ha ha ha.
I know, Ava, I love you. But yes. So I become that person. And I'm like, okay, this is a great idea, but what is the plot of the story? So we'll go back and forth and try to like hammer things out and figure out like what the best next move is. And sometimes I have one author that is like not happy unless she's writing like 5 different things at once. And so she's got like all these different projects going all the time. And then she'll like text me a question. I'll be like, hey, wait, hold on. Which project is this for?
That's so funny. You got to give me a clue. I don't know what this is. Let's see. Yeah, the audience is having fun. Kevin says it's the best show so far that wasn't all about him. That's Kevin Petway, my author. I adore him.
Okay.
When he sends you a book, let me know.
Okay.
Oh, here's the important one. I told you we were going to ask because it's required. What's your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Okay. So I've been really thinking about this one. Mm-hmm. And I have many favorite flavors of ice cream, but I think if we had to like narrow it down and I could only pick one, I'm going with Cherry Garcia from Ben & Jerry's.
Nice. I'm surprised you didn't choose something with coconut in it.
Yeah, I like coconut flavor. I don't really like coconuts as coconuts.
Gotcha.
like the texture. So, but a coffee would be a good close runner-up. I love coffee ice cream. I love mint chocolate chip ice cream. There's literally not a single flavor of ice cream that I do not like. So,
Ooh, which reminds me, I have a carrot cake muffin recipe with no pineapple in it. So I'm going to try it this week. I have to bring you some.
you will definitely have to bring me some. So I guess pineapple ice cream would not be something I would choose, but
No pineapple. Let's see. What is the first thing you put in your grocery cart as an impulse buy?
well, if it's an impulse buy, then I don't have any plans for it. So I couldn't tell you what that was.
So you're trying to say that your impulse is an actual impulse?
It is. And I don't remember the last time I've pushed a shopping cart. So I do all my shopping online now. So I don't know.
That's awesome. For the record, all the authors who have been on are now in the chat saying what their ice cream was.
Oh, okay.
I know. And we have had a lot of coffee and a lot of mint chocolate chips. So I think that's kind of cool that you that you also mentioned those two. But Jerry Garcia is a great answer. Just likes that answer. She agrees with you.
It's a good ice cream. Fish food is also a very close runner-up in the Ben & Jerry's line. PHISH food, fish food.
Oh, you had me really worried for a minute.
No, I'm not eating fish food.
What's your secret diet plan? Will you see?
You see? No, I eat a lot of ice cream. I do. I have no diet. My diet plan is I don't diet at all. I'm
Just
on
exercise.
the elliptical a lot. So I ended up watching like Moxie on the elliptical because I had like my headphones on Netflix. I was watching Moxie and I ended up going like 15 miles.
Wow. Well, first of all, great movie then. I need to write that down, huh? I wanted to read the book first. I haven't got to it yet.
You have a copy? I have a copy right here if you need it.
Yeah, I'll borrow it. We'll trade you. You give me the book and I'll give you the muffins.
Awesome. I'm going to need it back though because Jennifer signed it.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So.
Yeah. I think I went with you to the launch that she had.
Did you go? Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did.
I was like, I think we went to that one together, didn't we?
We did, but she ran out of books very quickly. So that's a good thing when you're an author, right? It's good.
Very good thing.
What part of your, I think you've kind of answered that, but I'm going to ask it anyways. What part of your daily routine is an absolute must?
My exercise. I work out every single day. So that has become my only thing that I do every day during the pandemic that has given me any kind of like, I don't know, sense of normalcy, I guess. I feel like that's something I just like have to do every day. So I get on the elliptical and sometimes I watch movies like I was watching Moxie, but a lot of times I read submissions on the elliptical. So I read lots of books or I have my Kindle read to me and which can be a little confusing because it reads to me in British. And so don't ask me why. I don't know why, but it likes to speak British. And so a lot of the character names like are probably different than what they really are, but who knows?
It all works. It all works out. Yeah, I had like a story from Australia I really wanted to use in the anthology, but I had to tell her, you don't mind if I switch this to American English, right? She's like, no, I don't care. I'm like, but I had to ask. I need to make sure you don't mind. So it's amazing. Just those little differences.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. If we have any other questions from the audience, please put them up. What? But I know we got through 20 questions. That's how good we are. Because we're awesome. We actually asked more than 20, but who cares? It's awesome.
I was gonna say we can go over 20 and like really do double duty. Like
totally rebellious. Let's see. How about first let's see, where can fans find you and your work?
Where can you find me? Everywhere. Where you can find me is on Twitter. I'm on Twitter. Anne M. Rose is my handle. I have a website for my author stuff, which is amroseauthor.com. Oh my gosh, too many things in my head. I am also on the Prospect Agency website. If you're looking for me agent-wise, I'm on Manuscript Wishlist, which we talked about a little bit earlier. If you Google Anne Rose, you'll find me. So I do come up in web searches now. So
She's there in wonderful places. So now that Anne is your favorite writer, please make sure to review her books. Also, please review this podcast. And you can also follow us on Twitch or subscribe to us on YouTube. We'd love to hear what you think. And we will see you next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central, where we will have Todd Tinker, who is a writer and an editor, on next week. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thanks, everyone.